Hey everybody, Dr. Kevin Drina here. Thanks for tuning in and catching the replay, catching the live. I appreciate you. We're all here because of food. Food is medicine, food is money. And I love to eat. I grew up that way. And I found myself after college with diabetes, anger problems, a lot of concussions, overweight, male health problems. And I was in at 25 years old. And as a doctor, I just got my doctorate and I graduated, and I felt like such the hypocrite. I had all these health problems. I'm out of practice, out of my graduation by 1 year, and my body's falling apart. My mind's falling apart. And thank God I had a really influential mentor and employer that guided me to learn about food. I had not really paid attention to that. I was more into the physical exercise and the nervous system functionality feature. I was eating and drinking and living a very standard American diet lifestyle. And one of the biggest solutions has been eating better, putting good nutrition into my body. And about 10 years ago, I started getting into this conversation. There's an audio called Your Vitamins Are Killing You. And it talked about poisons in synthetics in the ingredients and the soil and how it's just not, food isn't grown the same way. And one of the biggest bullet points that hit home for me was, if I ate one orange in 1960, I would have to eat 10 or up 10 to 14. This was in 2006, I believe the stat was, 10 to 14 oranges today to equivalent to same nutritional value back then. So it was almost impossible to eat the amount of food to get the nutrients required to get the health that one desired. And my post-grad work led me to understand that emotions can overwhelm the body, toxins can overwhelm the body, and nutritional deficiencies were, well, I guess, overwhelming the inability to respond to life's needs. And that left me with symptoms and signs that are quote unquote diagnosable diseases or illnesses. And in that, and I got, fast forward here, I met Dr. Vince because I'm interviewing all kinds of health professionals, and Dr. Vince helped me meet Carrie, and their message of the company they represent or connected to was everything that I've become passionate about getting my mind better, getting the best nutrients, the best supplements, the best care for my health. And that was also because I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be a good doctor for the people that were seeing me and paying me money and trusting me with their lives. So I felt such a responsibility to be the good shepherd, so to speak, and send off, good recommendations and put good things in and live the message I was telling others to live. And so I want to thank Dr. Vince for being here, Carrie, and we want to keep things tight and respectable of everyone's time and attention. And so Carrie Drinkwine, she has been around. She's like, I've only known you guys for a few weeks now. I've been so impressed with the information. I've been so enjoying eating the products and using the products and feeling when I stopped using them for that 1 week, how I felt and where I went back to my old habits, and I'm going right back on them, how good I was really enjoying it. So Carrie, if you could please just introduce yourself a little bit. I know we have health professionals on here as well as lay people that are just wanting better quality in all parts of their life. And food to me is one of the most key factors. Mm-hmm. Carrie, if you could.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on here. So my name is Carrie Drinkwine, and I'm a regenerative health practitioner and a traditional naturopath. I'm the owner of Wise Wellness Clinic, as well as the Institute of Regenerative Health. So my passion is we train and certify regenerative health practitioners, and really just in conjunction with what Dr. Kevin was saying, my own personal journey brought me here. So I'll just give you a little snippet, but I used to have autoimmune. I had Hashimoto, lupus, fibromyalgia, and adrenal fatigue. I was also diagnosed with unexplained infertility when I was about 31 years old. I can't remember how old I was. But it was a really intense time to be that young and receive those diagnoses, especially as I was trying to bear children in the world. And I remember that moment of deciding that I was going to heal it, the deciding, like knowing that I was like, how does this happen? My answer from my doctor was, well, we don't know. It just does. And as long as you take these drugs, you'll live a relatively normal but shorter life. And that was absolutely not an acceptable answer to me. And I knew in my being that if this can happen, I can somehow unwind it. And I really began the search to healing my body. And that brought me down a rabbit hole of working with endocrinologists, rheumatologists, hormone specialists, functional medicine doctors, naturopaths. Carrie Tidwell, that you'll see on this call, it was my last stop. She was a regenerative detox specialist, and she was my last stop because the work worked. And once I regenerated my body, it really became my passion to teach others that suffering was optional. And so I went through a whole slew of education, training, certifications, naturopathy school, to really teach people that there's another way. And what we work in is cellular regeneration versus just supplementation. And so a little view of how did I get connected with superfoods and how did I get into this specifically was several years into my practice. So my practice was thriving and busy, but what I noticed was a common theme was people had a hard time sticking to their protocols. And I couldn't figure out really why. And I knew that I was having a tough time with some postpartum depletion. So when I was 7 months postpartum, I conceived after that infertility diagnosis, and I nursed. I conceived 2 babies since then, but my firstborn, after I reversed my disease, and I was practicing in my clinic way more than I'd like to admit, like 60 plus hours a week. I was working 7 days a week. So I kind of thought I'm under a lot of stress, but I started losing an ungodly amount of hair. Like we're talking handfuls at a time. I mean, it was frightening. I thought I was going to go completely bald. My skin elasticity was going, and I knew that I was missing something. And so I really started searching. It was right around this time that I had taken a program from Dr. Zach Bush, who is a pioneer in farmers' footprint and non-toxic neighborhoods. And this is where I really learned that actually 1% of the United States soil is deemed nutrient dense. And that really shocked me because I had been a whole food practitioner. I had been teaching everyone eat organic, eat whole foods, like I have a whole mango sitting on my desk right now. This is the go to the source, eat the real thing. And when I found out that source didn't have what we needed, that was really shocking to me. And also I was like, we have a problem, we need a solution. So I went from becoming a practitioner that focused on herbalism, detoxification, lymphatic health, and whole foods to we need a supplement. Now, I'm not talking isolate supplements because isolates are made in a lab and isolates are really unhealthy for you. And the reason why we're here to you talking about this company, this thing, is not because we want to, support a certain brand. It's because this is the real deal. And this is kind of getting through the noise in the field. There's the industry of vitamin supplementations and protein powders is a $38 billion a year industry. And I feel very safe to say that over 99% of it is garbage. It is made in a lab. It is filled with soy, corn, whey, isolate, heavy metals, you name it. And it's because there is no deep understanding on isolate health. So isolate nutrition, excuse me. So isolate nutrition means it's made in a lab. It also means that it's unnatural, right? And it also usually means that there's a high load of X, Y, or Z. So how many of you have taken emergencies is a great example when you get sick. Well, scientifically proven, your body can only absorb 60 to 90 milligrams, no more than twice a day of vitamin C. So it's wasted. And when we have that high load in the body, that vitamin C that's synthetic actually competes for entry into the cell with other essential minerals. So then you become imbalanced in things like zinc and iron and so on. And so I call it like robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so isolate nutrition is really bad. So I went on this long search for whole food, organically grown, regeneratively grown plant nutrition. And that is how I found what we are presenting to you today, an organic superfood company called Purium, which represents purity and premium. And I stand by their products so much. It has changed my whole life, my health, and my clinic practice. And so today what I want to share with you is why I chose them. and what makes them different from all of the others in the field. So after researching, I think I counted 37 companies when I was introduced to Purium. I was actually introduced to it by another regenerative health practitioner. And I was so impressed with everything. So what this company is all about is, first of all, it's owned by two people. So it's kind of grassroots, Dave and Amy. And Dave was trained by Dr. Bernard Jensen in iridology and Rigmore, and really deep in this knowledge of cellular regeneration is actually his roots. And he saw overtoxicity and undernourishment as one of the deepest issues that we have known to man in human health. Because actually, if there's a lot of books coming out on the true cause of death is literally nutrient deficiency. When we become deficient enough, the cells can't function anymore. And so he had this vision to start providing regeneratively grown, high quality, high nutrient dense organic superfoods. And they started their company more than 28 years ago. I think it's coming up on 29 years now, selling wheatgrass juice shots. And the original blend was called the Kamut blend, and really trying to get this information out into the world. So 20 years in the making, they were just on shelves at co-ops, doing pop-ups and on Amazon in different areas. And 8 years ago, they switched platforms and said, we need to put the power into the hands of the people and really have people be our voice, because we want to take the money out of Monsanto. We want to take the money out of the people and the billionaires that are poisoning our air, food, and water systems, and start to support the practitioners of the world, the moms of the world, the dads of the world that want to live in another way. So they moved to this affiliate model, which is why we're all talking to you today. It's transformed our lives, our practices, and our health. And I really feel like this mission in the world is what we need. So the pillars of Purium is personal wellness, personal health, planetary wellness. So we are 100% plastic-free company. Everything has been engineered by the owners to create something that composts down in less than 30 days. And the last pillar is financial wellness. So this company really stands by supporting people in all aspects of wellness. So I want to transition into the farming aspect of things. So their farming practices are like no other. So first and foremost, Dave is like really, really incredible human that has like selectively chosen his farms to be in locations that are not next to any other industrialization, that are not getting blow over from other farms. They aren't getting, any sort of chemicals or air pollution. And he also chooses them to be in between mountainscapes, so that literally you're receiving minerals that are coming and rolling off the mountains and really helping this lush soil health. So that's one primary thing that separates them. The second thing that's really different is they use all of these regenerative practices, which are semi-non-traditional. They use a process called triple cross sow. They do proper crop rotation to make sure that the soil is regenerated before they're replanting in a certain area. They're using spring water to feed minerals into the plants and into the soil, because that's what the plants take up from the soil. So the more nutrients in the soil, the more nutrients that exist in your plant. And the last and most important factor, I think, that Purium executes more than anyone in the world is that everything is vine ripened, which is insane. So vine ripened is so important. Here's why. When a mom delivers a baby and that umbilical cord is cut, nutrition has stopped at that point. And then the baby needs an external source. Well, when we pull our plants off the vine, that nutrition source is cut and there is no external source. And from that point forward, the fruit is not ripening, it's fermenting. It's actually losing nutritional value as the days go on. So the moment it's picked is as most nutrition it's ever going to have. And because of our population size and all the things, and not everybody can grow food anymore, right? We don't have the land for it. We have to actually pick things unripe. So on average, food is picked a minimum of 2 weeks early, 2 to 3 weeks, to bring to a refrigerator truck, to back of a warehouse, to the front of the store, to your fridge, and to your table without it spoiling. So this is a process that this is just where we are. So we are dealing with nutrient-less food because it's not vine ripened, because it's not regeneratively grown. Even if it's organic, it's still fast farmed. So that is a big difference that we have to understand. We're still whipping out food really quick in order to get it to the people. So we have lost a significant amount of nutrition. And like Dr. Kevin gave for that example of an orange, the actual new statistic of a carrot is one regeneratively grown carrot would take you 200 conventional carrots. That's insane. So what we have here is this vine ripened, regeneratively grown, nutrient dense plants that are the moment that they're ripe, they're picked and then they're wind dehydrated at 88 degrees or less, which keeps the plants raw and live. Most companies will just pick it up and it'll go to a factory or a warehouse where it's heat dried and cross-contaminated. So this is wind dehydrated. They only dehydrate in the morning or in the evening to maintain that raw live food. And then it's brought to Purium's facilities by their own trucks, and it's triple tested by an in-house microbiologist for purity and potency. So they actually check on their farmers' work. And that is the big difference between certified organic and tested. There is a really great, Mamavation is a company that kind of checks on products in the Detox Project. And they came out with the best and the worst companies and products, and Purium was listed as the best. And the reason they were listed as the best is because all of our products were 100% pure, natural, and tested clean on all their tests. And they tested several other certified organic and raw protein powders that came out with off the charts levels of glyphosate, lead, cadmium, and the list goes on. And one of those I'll tell you is Orgain. Orgain came out with the highest levels of glyphosate, your friendly one that you buy at Costco. So this is why we chose as practitioners to bring in Purium Superfoods, because nobody is doing it like this. When I brought this into my practice, I watched my clientele transform practically overnight. I watched them be able to be like, oh my gosh, I have so much energy. I feel so good. This was so much easier than I thought. What is this stuff? Where has this been all my life? And it really just took off from there. And I really realized that as a postpartum depleted mom and struggling practitioner with a really busy schedule, that we had something really phenomenal here and the world needed to know about it. I started regrowing my hair, my skin started tightening. I can't stop regrowing hair now. It just keeps coming. And that is a sign of cellular regeneration. So I became very passionate about this. I've linked arms with several practitioners, several stay-at-home moms, several people from all walks of life, and help them regenerate their health and their finances by partnering with this company. And literally the Institute of Regenerative Health lives today because of Purium. Purium actually helped me get out of my clinic, get out of working 60, 70-hour work weeks, and build a team where we were helping more people in less time. So when we did that, I started helping chiropractors like Dr. Kevin actually offer another solution to their clientele and build another revenue where they're supporting the world to get better. So that's all I want to share about that. That's kind of my short and fast story, but Purium transformed my health, it transformed my wealth, and now it's transforming the world because I was able to leverage my energy and my income from Purium to open my own institute. And now we train hundreds to be thousands of practitioners around the world. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for the really great synopsis. And Vince, if I could pass it over to you, what is your story a little bit? How did you, what inspired you to connect to where we are right now, Purium?
Yeah, I mean, similar to kind of where Carrie was going with that. So I think all of us, especially, if you're a practitioner in this field, this kind of chooses you. You don't necessarily choose it for the most part. I'm no different. I had my own kind of health struggles. I was a college athlete. I actually went to chiropractic school with the intention of going strictly into sports medicine. It wasn't until I was in my second year of chiropractic school, I actually had a naturopathic doctor teach biochemistry to me. That got me into nutrition. At the time, I was struggling with a bunch of health issues that I developed in college. I put on maybe close to 30 pounds while I was playing. In my infinite wisdom at the time, I thought it was all muscle mass, but what came with it was brain fog. It came a need for coffee. What else came? Seasonal allergies, never had that before. And for me, particularly digestive issues tending towards, constipation. Hopefully that's not too much TMI, but those were really what I was dealing with, and just energy sluggish in general. And it wasn't until I kind of learned about this from this naturopathic doctor, I ended up getting more information about nutrition, diving into it, and then really getting into transforming my health through nutrition. And similar to what Carrie was saying, like I started my practice initially coming out of school wanting to help people because I was starting to change my own health issues through what I was eating. And initially I was kind of the mindset of, supplementation's nice. Is it necessary? I didn't honestly think so at the time. Now, I did tend to lean more towards using herbs, more towards using whole foods, but I was finding a couple things. Some folks were having some trouble sticking to protocols, and then some just weren't progressing at the rate that I felt should have been necessary, or kind of where they were at. So I've slowly added more tools to the toolbox, and months ago I've connected with Carrie, and I decided to start using a lot of these products kind of with my patients. And what I've found over the past few months is not only have some of the patients who have started on it respond more quickly, so start feeling better faster. I'm also finding that when we're adding personalization to it, kind of going through it, not only are they sticking to it more, they seem to be responding faster. And I think a lot of that comes down to a lot of what Carrie was saying. I'm not going to repeat it, but the fact that this is coming from really highly dense, nutrient dense soil that is treated correctly. And that's ultimately where our nutrition is coming from. So even sometimes if you're eating all organic, and now just in the common world, or in the modern world, I should say, it's not getting to what we're saying. I had a story yesterday. Someone's going through a transformation right now and has a daughter who's struggling with depression. And she just messaged me out of the blue. She said, hey, my daughter sometimes is going through these mood swings. She said, I had her have some of the greens, the power shake. And she was like, within 5 minutes, her mood completely flipped. And she called her daughter out on it. She's like, what else has changed? And she kind of caught her. She's like, yeah, mom, that's why I feel better. And I just figured we were having this call today. I was like, wow, like the timing could not be better. But it goes to show you, when you treat the earth correctly, when you treat the earth properly, when you're doing what you should, I think, in the right way, that does get reflected back on us. And we are essentially shepherds, literally and figuratively, to this planet. So it shouldn't be a surprise that like the more we're going synthetic, the more we're trying to replace things that nature already provides in abundance. It shouldn't be a surprise that not only the health of the soil is depleting, but also the general health of the average human, particularly American in this case. So, I think once we start realizing and supporting companies that are doing it the right way, not only do we feel the difference, but we're actually putting our money towards projects that are going to make the world for future generations better. So for me, that's ultimately where it's at. Not only are we helping the microcosm, i.e. the individuals, you, me, Carrie, but also the planet itself. And when we put the microcosm and the macro, we can kind of see the big difference we can make. So I'm just really excited that I'm already seeing it in my patients, in myself, in people I just recommend it to. Like I just mentioned, I was not someone I'm working with as a patient. It's great. And the fact on the back end, it's going towards causes that is going to leave the world, the planet, a better place. To me, kind of makes it a no-brainer. And again, it's really exciting to work with a team of folks who are just as passionate and dedicated to it.
Yeah, Vince, thanks for sharing that point, because there's a very influential doctor that I admire, and he said to me in general years ago about spending your money congruently, paying for things that you're congruent with, and aligning your business with things that you're congruent with. And that was really impactful. And I struggle with that in some ways, but you're exactly right. This is feeding something I want to feed. I want to see flourish. I want to see more people, more places around the country and the world. And that's such a beautiful point, to put your resources in things you want to see grow, not just Target or the fast food restaurant because it's local, it's close, and I felt full. But now the next 3 days, I feel like crap because it's in my body. I think if everybody sat down and realized hangry is a real thing, and we don't necessarily recognize how nuanced that is in our day-to-day actions and activities and moods. And um, my goodness, such an important thing to get the right ingredients in. It does really play out in our body and our life. Thanks for sharing, and your story too. My goodness, I'm learning more about everybody every time we have a conversation. And Carrie, Carrie number two, Carrie number one. I have fun with the name, excuse me, but Vince introduced me to you and Carrie Drinkwell, and you have your own personal story, and you have some other nuances to why these topics are important. If you could just share a little bit about your professional history here and what really helped you connect and flip over to like seeing the results of what's going on. What was the change in your life?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everyone for sharing. And I can relate a lot to Dr. Vincent's story, as I was like 30 pounds heavier before, and I was struggling with my health. So my name is Carrie Tidwell, and I was a massage therapist for over 20 years. And during that time, so over 8 years ago, I was really struggling with my health, and I knew I wanted another baby. And I thought, there's no way I can have another baby with the way I was feeling. I had a hard time getting out of bed. I was in so much chronic pain. I literally felt like a 90-year-old woman trying to like stand up because I couldn't stand up straight. I was like hunched over, and it took a while to like get going in the morning. And that, like, I used to try to get a new bed. I thought it was my bed's problem. I got a new pillow, like nothing worked. And I just didn't understand why it was happening. I would go to doctors, get misdiagnosed. I also would get lightheaded every time I stood up. Just started to have weird symptoms presenting. And I knew I was too young to be experiencing all these symptoms. It was like stuff that you hear about people in their 90s have, and I just knew that it wasn't normal. And I'm like, how come I'm always sensitive? I had, bloating, digestive issues, similar what he was saying with all his symptoms. I pretty much had everything. And when I go to the doctor, I got misdiagnosed, and I thought there's got to be a better way. Like, I don't want to take a pill. I don't want to do a surgery. I need to take this in my own hands. And so I started to do my own research, and I just kind of laid down that prayer. Like, I have to figure this out. I know there's a natural way to heal. I just got to find out what it is. And doing massage, I would hear so many clients coming in sharing their story, and Carrie Drinkwine was one of them. And I was like, man, I really want to like help people more than just massage. Like, I knew I was meant for more than just like helping someone one-on-one. And while I love massage, I knew I was ready for a different phase. And that's when I found regenerative health and studied iridology and really understood, our body's symptoms are just trying to communicate with us. I just didn't know what that meant and what to do about it until I studied and learned this stuff from a naturopath and chemist. And I was able to get my body out of suffering. In 3 short months, I reversed like so many things, so many symptoms that I thought were just normal, were just common. Sore breast, menstrual cycle issues, the weight just fell off for the first time effortlessly. I'm smaller than I was in high school, which was weird. I had to get like all new clothes. The energy, all my pants were like saggy in the butt. It just didn't look right. So I had to get a whole new wardrobe. And I've been able to keep it off because of learning these regenerative principles of like understanding what causes damage to a cell and what can, put it in a different environment. And when you study epigenetics, it depends on the environment that we create. We can, be genetically predisposed to something, but it's all about, genetics loads again, but lifestyle pulls a trigger. And once I learned that and applied it, like I said, so many things got better. And I thought, how come this isn't common knowledge? How come not everybody knows this? And I started working with clients and getting results like you heard Carrie say, and other people reversing all kinds of things and getting to the root. But it was only a select people that were like, I'm ready to do whatever you say. And they did it. But there was another group of people that really had a hard time sticking with diet. And that's when I started to learn more about the soil health. And when Carrie brought this up to me, At first, to be honest, I was super skeptical. I didn't even really want anything to do with it because there's a lot of junk companies. When she talked about like, sharing about all these industries that use isolates and fillers and different things, I just assumed this was one of those things until I tried it. And then I was like, wow, this tastes amazing. What are the ingredients? And then I started to learn the history. So for about 5 months, I told her, no, I didn't want anything to do with it until I had that experience. And then, she's like, this is a way to help people and help more people stick with protocols. And that really stuck with me. I was like, okay, if this can help more people, then I need to bring this in. Because I was very strict with like, we just need to eat from the earth, and take these herbs and different things. So similar to her. But since bringing this in, it's helped me in so many ways, not only help more people, but I've been able to, after working with clients one-on-one, when COVID happened, like so many things got turned around. Like I ended up having to redo my whole business structure because of shutting everything down. And so, and I was also really, the anger of like, no one's talking about being proactive with our health, and what we can do turned into, let's educate people, let's share our voice, let's share what's possible when we give the body optimal conditions to come into balance. And so we started, doing these educational talks, and then it just grew. And then I was like, okay, this is what I meant for. I meant to share that there's another way for the people who are ready, like I was, like Dr. Kevin was, and Dr. Vincent was. Like, I don't want to do the old way. It wasn't working. It's clearly not working because people are just kind of living on medications, but the quality of their life was hard. It's hard to watch. And I witnessed my dad going through all his health stuff, and I wanted to be proactive and wanted to show people that they can be proactive. Just listen to these whispers so we don't have to hear it scream. And so I saw this as a platform of like, wow, we can really help more people collectively. And so once I started sharing like, who wants to do this transformation with me? So many people wanted to do it because there was a kit involved, there was like steps, there was a community. It wasn't just me one-on-one. And then I quickly saw how that spread, and they shared it with like their family. And then, one of my favorite stories is my friend shared it with her sisters. They got off their medications and then shared it with her dad. And he got off all his medications over 6 months and lost over 70 pounds. And I never met with him once. And so the power of the systems that we have in place is really beautiful because we merge our regenerative health background with these regeneratively grown foods and have built an incredible community. And we offer, 2 live calls a week for customers and lots of business support if you're wanting to, share this with your community. And we really just want to make this available and common knowledge and people to know that there's another option. And so if you're listening and you're inspired to, take your health in your own hands and get the support you need, connect in with Dr. Kevin and he can help you with the protocols we have. Or if you're like, I'm a chiropractor, practitioner, or a health enthusiast, and I just want to have another stream of income and share this with my community, there's that available as well. And just 2.5 years into this, I was able to let go of the one-on-one and really build a team of people that are sharing it. I've, partners in many different states and one in Europe. And now we're able to spread this further and wider than just me by myself. And I'm able to have the time freedom and location freedom that I've always wanted. And then I can spend more time with family and doing the things that I love and having conversations like this and really following what's in alignment. And I love that Dr. Vincent said, we really do vote with our dollar. And so I love that every time I put an order in, it's like supporting regenerative agriculture, the plastic-free movement, and help people's health. And it starts with taking care of yourself and then having this beautiful ripple effect and just witnessing that, like looking back 8 years ago, it was just me taking care of myself all alone. I didn't have the support. I didn't have a community. I was just trying to heal by myself. And I'm so grateful that Carrie shared this with me, but also if I didn't take care of myself, I wouldn't have shared regenerative health with her. And then she ended up finding this and sharing it with me. So I may have helped her with health, but she really helped me get my life and freedom back. And so just seeing the ripple effect, then she created her school, and it all started with me taking care of myself. So the power of you taking care of yourself has this beautiful ripple effect on your community, your family, those around you. And I truly believe the world. So I can keep going on and on. I'm just grateful to be connected with both of you amazing chiropractors that are really, in alignment with this mission. And so thank you for all the work you do and all the people that you serve. And we're just here to be of service and help spread this message of regenerative health. So
Yeah,
I'll
thank
pass
you
it
so
to you.
much for sharing your story. I know there's so many different tendrils of places we can go, from helping people pull out toxins with certain products, help people sleep better, of course, weight loss. But really, when we put the good ingredients in that are sustainable, regenerative, they're at that place of high nutritional density. It just makes it gives the body what it needs to do the things that it needs to do the right way and the right ratios. And that automatic inner healer can take over as it's supposed to be when we are clean and supplied with everything that we need. Vince, would you like to add anything before we wrap up? I know there's a piece of people can go shop and try as a general customer, and I'm going to offer people to reach out to me or comment, and there's that link I'll be able to send. And then there's the opportunity from clinician side of things, and people who want to have a home-based business just to help more people. Uh, you know, anything else you want to add to that, Vince or Carrie? Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, it's definitely well worth it to, try this stuff yourself and to just see, we got 4 practitioners on here who are talking about this. So, if you are one and you want to try it, feel free to reach out, to Dr. Kev, and, we could get the ball rolling on that. What I will say, though, I think what makes this difference and what was really the tipping point for me starting was the fact that this team specifically is all practitioners. So, if that happens to be you, or you want to share it with people and want to know more about the products and how to use them, this is the perfect place to be. I will tell you, when I was coming on, I had a ton of questions, and it's just, it's overwhelming. There's a lot of products. So, figuring out what to use in certain situations or what's going on, with person X versus Y, Z, it's nice to have that support that you can call on, and they'll be there. So, to me, that was the differentiating factor. That's what sold me on it. And being in it now for a while, it's absolutely lived that up to that and then some. So, if you do feel lost or overwhelmed, and that's pushing you off, pushing you away, that is absolutely not the case here. In fact, it's the opposite.
Well, thanks for that share, Vince. I haven't met anybody personally, and I got to following Vince quite a couple months ago, and I have a television show. I interview health professionals. I was so turned on by Vince's stylings on Instagram, and the content he was putting out, and the accurate information, the things I was just like, I'm in the background going, "Amen, preacher brother," before I even knew him. So I reached out at a cold call kind of thing and invited him to share on my television show. I'm so happy that I did, and because there's certain things he talked about just upped my trust quotient. And then he introduced me to Carrie, and the things they're mentioning are things I've studied in similar circles, but nothing connected to what they've ever said. Yet they're just saying the same truths here, here, here. And I know they're talking that universal truth. That's how I find universal truths, that multiple groups talk about the same concepts. And then I go do my homework and search. There's that one website Carrie mentioned about the third-party testing, the quality, the purity, the sufficiency, the efficacy of the products. And I'm on that website. I've seen that website. I'm looking at it, and I see companies that I knew were falling, that they're reporting they're falling, companies that had risen to quality, they're reporting on them. And it's really good to see. Yes, the Detox Project. Thank you. And it was really good to see that some of the products and the company are on the tops of the list. And it's just great. It's just great affirmation. And now I'm taking it. I'm noticing personally now, granted, at the time of this recording, I've only been doing things for 3 weeks. And my body's definitely liking it. That is 100% certain. And one of the things that's really important for me to heal is getting the brain healthy. That meant pulling toxins and metals, and meant getting the fats and the sugars balanced, the yeast infections that do translate from the gut to the brain and back and forth. And as I do well and fall and trip and fall and get back up, I try different products, different services, different modalities, and I know what works. I know my body, and I know when my brain clicks well. I know what if I eat a cheat meal, how I feel the next day, because it's very evident. And it's just been really great even if it did slip up, I didn't say slip up. I went for a hoagie the other day, but I bookended it with 2 green shakes, and I felt great. Even though I know how I normally would feel eating that hoagie, it just went good, and it went better than I expected. So it fueled everything I needed to help clean and pure. I satisfied that taste craving I wanted. But that's a little bit of my 2 cents, my personal experience. But Carrie, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up tonight?
Yeah, there's one piece that we didn't really mention is glyphosate, which is like the
Yeah.
main ingredient in Roundup. And it's, glyphosate is patented as an antibiotic, which literally stands for against life. And we have a formula that was created and tested by the Detox Project to remove up to 74% of glyphosate in 6 weeks. So it's in the, glyphosate is all sprayed all over our food. It's in our air, in our water. So it's hard to totally avoid. And so it's really important to make sure we're getting it out of our system. And so, there's a formula called the Biomedic that we have that comes in the kit. So when we're talking about doing these transformations, you're getting 2 superfood meals a day, plus the aminos and that don't wreak havoc on digestion. And there's, herbal formulas to get parasites and fungus out, the glyphosate out. And there's cherry juice that helps you with deep sleep. So there's this amazing kit protocol that you'd get to start with. So you have that experience of flooding the body with nourishment. So it's easier to let those other cravings go and let, change your diet and lifestyle. And then yeah, so if you're wanting to learn more about that, Dr. Kevin has, a coupon code where you can get up to $50 off of 75 or more, or if you get the transformation, you'll get 25% off, which is greater. So he'll be able to help you with that discount and then, get you set up. And if you need a custom protocol, you can connect in, and we have a couple calls a week where if you tell us what you have going on, we can customize it for you. So if you had like adrenal fatigue, there's herbal formulas to help support the adrenal glands and things like that.
And those calls are for customers and for professionals to figure out what they need or how to provide it for the people they are helping.
Yeah. Yep.
Sure.
So partners can, you don't have to be a practitioner to partner, but we just have attracted a lot of them because, this work works and it's really helpful to have this other tool and other resource. But yeah, you'd come on, you can ask in behalf of your customer, or you can bring your customer and they can ask if they want to hear from another practitioner. So it's kind of whatever works. And then you can ask your question and they'll tell you foundational what to start. And even we have so many educational resources. So if you're wanting resources on, getting to the root of anxiety or what to know about your gut health, like we have a community website that's really incredible. And called regenerateyourhealth.com. And that has tons of videos where you can learn more too about your symptoms, and then come on the calls to get protocols. Just let us know that you're connected with Dr. Kevin.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Vince. Thank you, Carrie, for your time. And I know Carrie had to take care of some family business, so she had to go. And but everyone provided great details, great information. So send any questions my way. I'll help you get to the right answers and explore. I know the company has great assistance, great answers, and strategies to help you free yourself on all the different levels and realms of what it is to be a human in the 21st century, 2023 and beyond. So thank you, Dr. Vince. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in whenever that is. And I'll look forward to connecting with you. Thank you.